Welcome to House Talk on KAFM 88.1 Community Affairs. This is a monthly program that features local experts to discuss real estate topics of interest to home buyers and sellers in Mesa County. I'm your host. I'm Kate Porras. I'm a realtor at RE/MAX 4000. And as always, we're going to kick it off with some statistics for our Mesa County real estate market. We're going to look at the average sold price for single-family homes here in Mesa County through the month of November this year. Average sold price was just about $436,000. Year to date, if you go all the way through the year to date so far, average sold price about $443,000. I know a lot of people have been wondering, okay, are we going to be seeing this big drop in prices? Market has been transitioning for the last few months now. And if you go back for the last several months, the answer really is not really. We've been seeing that average sold price hang steady right there, right in the $440,000 mark, adjusting $1,000 or so year or month over month for this year so far. But for the most part, our average home price has remained steady. What has dropped are a couple things. One, the number of new listings coming on month over month and year over year. They are down. So we had 188 new listings come on in November. That's down 18% year over year. So that's some of that transition that we've been talking about. The average days on market, though, that number continues to climb. We've been watching that number for the last several months here in Mesa County, and it is up now to about 77 days on market. That's a 19% year-over-year increase. So taking a little bit longer for homes to sell. Some of that is also, the time of year. We do often see a little bit of a transition, and we've been talking about the interest rates for the last couple of months. That has also caused a little bit of a shift in the market, but still, homes are moving in Mesa County, and as of right now, those home prices are leveling off, remaining steady, no major declines. With homes sitting on the market a little bit longer, we thought it'd be a good idea to bring in some experts to talk about things that can do to help you get your home sold more quickly. And one of those things is home staging. In the studio with me today, Lori Purcell and Tiffany Morgan with Past to Present Imaging. Ladies, thanks for joining me today.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
So you've been busy a little bit lately with some home staging. Tell us, what is home staging? What are we talking about?
So home staging is just bringing in furniture and decor to help make a home look better to show and sell.
A lot of people think, I should just have my home vacant, clear it out completely. Sometimes there is some benefit to that, but as a realtor, I know when I take someone into a home and it's properly staged, that really changes the feel the moment you walk through the door. Do you agree?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So what do you do what's the home staging process? How does that work?
So once we're contacted for a potential project, we start with a walkthrough of the home just to get an idea of the style, the size, the layout. We have a talk with the agent or the builder, whoever has contacted us. We just kind of get an idea of what they're looking for and what they're hoping for. And then once they have officially hired us, we select furniture and decor from our inventory, get it all packed up, move it over to the house, unpack it, install it, clean up, and then photograph.
So it is quite the process.
It really is.
It is.
How is that typically paid for?
So typically the home owner is the one that pays for those services.
And I know you work with a lot of builders. You actually had a couple homes that were in the Parade of Homes this year.
Yes.
So obviously builders are recognizing that a vacant home is not going to sell as quickly.
Yes, most definitely.
So are there any specific demographics for the homes? I mean, if we, I think a lot of times people think, my big $1 million plus home definitely needs staging, but that's not the only demographic that we're looking at here.
No, we get anything from small starter homes up to large homes in the multi-millions. It doesn't matter how beautiful your home is. If people can't see themselves there, they're not going to be interested in buying it.
And it's all about creating that feel so that it feels homey.
That's right. Staging just creates an emotional attachment to the home that people have a hard time seeing when a home's vacant.
And when you're trying to sell your home, being able to have someone feel like they can see themselves in there, the buyer feel like they can see themselves in there, that really adds a lot.
It does. That's when you get your higher offers and your home sells more quickly.
You're listening to House Talk on KAFM 88.1 in Grand Junction. In the studio today, Lori Purcell and Tiffany Morgan with Past to Present Imaging. I know, Lori, you have a lot of photography projects that you do as well, the listing photography. Talk to me a little bit about that. What are you looking for there when you walk into a home?
Yeah, so once we get a listing scheduled, then we'll meet the real estate agent at the property and we'll do a quick walkthrough and just make sure that things that would distract from the photos, such as pet bowls or just anything that is not pleasing to the photo, then we'll just kind of move those. And then we'll go through each room and look for the best lighting and angles, and we'll do several angles of each room.
When you talk about lighting, what are some good tips or ideas for homeowners to think about when it comes to lighting?
Well, for sure, we go through and make sure that every lamp, every light is on in the house. We'll open the blinds so we can see the views and let the natural light come in and show that room.
So what's the purpose of turning on all of those lights?
Well, we want to give an ambiance. We want to show each corner of the room, so we just want it to be bright and airy and light.
And I know a lot of times, I've gone through homes with you when we've been doing photography together. Sometimes it's also about putting little things away. I know that sometimes I tell my sellers, if you can't find something, look in the closest closet or sink or cabinet under the sink.
Yeah.
What's the reason for that?
We don't want personal items out. We don't want toothbrushes and dirty, muddy boots and dirty dishes in the sink. We just want it to look photo ready, and we want the buyer to envision themselves living there. So we want them to see what their stuff might look like, not what your stuff, the seller's stuff look like.
I know a lot of times we also will hide, you mentioned it, pet bowls or pet beds. What's the reason for that?
Nobody wants pet smells in their new home. So, nobody wants cat urine smells or to know that there's dog hair embedded in carpet. And so we just want to give the vision of a new place and not that there have been pets there.
How long does it normally take to go through and get a home ready to be photographed and then photographed?
Typically for smaller homes, usually about 30 minutes to photograph. Larger homes, if there's a lot of property or outbuildings, shops, sheds, that kind of thing, sometimes it can take up to an hour or even more. So, and then the editing process is usually an hour or more, just depending on those photos that we take.
And what all happens in the editing process? I know it's not necessarily about trying to make the home look like it's something other than it is, but sometimes there is some minor editing done.
Yeah, so our process that we use, we take 5 different exposures of each image that we take, and that enables the underexposed places like corners to be exposed brighter, and the typically like windows, they get blown out in photos, so that tones that down, so it's all one perfectly toned image.
And I know also it's important to put those things into combination with the photography and the staging.
Yeah.
If you have both of those things done correctly, you can really showcase a home nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. Having the great photos gets the buyers to click on the listing, but getting them in the house and get an emotional connection helps them to envision themselves living there. So,
you're listening to House Talk on KAFM Grand Junction. In the studio today, Lori Purcell and Tiffany Morgan with Past to Present Imaging. We're talking about staging and photography, 2 critical things that come into play when you're trying to sell their home. Is there anything that you would advise clients to be prepared for if they're either going to have the home photographed or staged?
Just to make sure that their house is photo ready, basically. And like I said, all those elements put away, light bulbs in the sockets, everything just shining.
And Tiffany, sometimes I think, when it comes to staging especially, people have this vision. You will do full-on staging for homes, like if they're vacant or whatnot. What about people that already live in their homes? Maybe they have some of their own furniture belongings. Can you work with them as well to help them maybe use some of their own things and then also bring in other items?
Absolutely, yeah. We can definitely see what they have that is in really good condition or fits really well in the property, and then build our inventory around that.
So just some of those little touches that go in that can really add some comfortable feel.
Exactly, yeah. A throw blanket or a pop of color here and there really goes a long way.
sometimes it's also about removing color. There's, people have their own personal styles.
Right.
And not to say that they're good or bad, they're just very personalized. And when you're looking at staging a home, is there a typical style that you try to create, or does that vary?
It really varies depending on the house. It's kind of hard to put a lot of modern decor into an older traditional home and vice versa. So that's why we do our initial walkthrough, is just to see exactly what we're working with and what we can do to make the home look its best.
So if someone had to pick between, staging or photography, is there one that's better than the other? Are they both critical? How would you advise someone for that?
They're both so important. That's a really hard question because, like I said, the good photos get the buyers to click on the listing and results in showings. But if they get in the home and it's just poorly designed or, pet smells, they can't envision themselves there. So that results in being forgotten.
I know a lot of realtors have also been looking into using what's called virtual staging, where you have a blank room and then they have computer generated images that make it look like there's furniture in there. But does that take away from that feel? Obviously we talked about photography, and that might help for photography. What does that do though? Are they missing out when someone's actually walking into the home themselves to visual or to see it?
Yeah, maybe somewhat. It might work very well for people that can't actually get to the property and see it. Then they can kind of visualize the size and the scope of the property with that type of staging. But sometimes, yes, when they get into the property and it's blank and it's all these blank walls, then yeah, that can take away.
What are any interesting stories that you have to share that you'd be willing to share with us of what you've seen during photographs that either worked well or maybe are good examples of what not to do?
When I click through listings, I see quite a few photographs of just beds unmade or a lot of clutter in a home. And I think that has the same effect as a blank home, where people just have a harder time seeing themselves there.
Yeah.
So too much, too little. It's kind of like Goldilocks there. You got to find that just right feeling.
Too personal of items.
And those personal items, I sometimes, when I'm counseling my sellers, they might have a piece over their fireplace or on the wall or a piece of furniture that they just love, but it doesn't work.
Right.
And so sometimes that can be a difficult discussion.
Yes.
In that it's not necessarily something that's personal, but it might just be something that's a distraction to people that might want to buy their homes.
Which is hard because you don't want to offend them and say, this photo is beautiful, but it needs to go.
Right. Great discussion. Well, I want to thank Lori Purcell and Tiffany Morgan with Past to Present Imaging for joining us today. Ladies, if someone has more questions or they want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Well, they can give us a call at 970-245-7210, or they can visit our website at pasttopresentimaging.com.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. This segment airs on the second Wednesday of each month. You can also listen to podcasts on demand at kafmcommunityradio.org. Make sure to join us next month for another edition of House Talk. And if you have a topic that you would like for me to address, feel free to contact me. You can reach out via my website at kateporras.com or give me a call at 970-985-8555.